Banana muffins. Let's take a look at the master recipe and the additions that you can make to it with this master recipe. Today I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful banana muffins. This is the best recipe that I've found. It's a great master recipe that you can add different additions to that gives you pecan muffins, cranberry muffins, etc. So the master recipe, and I am using the banana. What do we do with the overripe banana that we all have? People are going to either make banana bread or throw them away. But I think muffins are faster and better than banana bread. And this is perfect for it. When you get a banana that's soft and overripe, it's got the maximum flavor. That's about the correct size. You can add one of these to maybe two of these smaller ones. You need about a half cup. There's the additions that I like to use. Today we're going to use this ripe banana. This one is good for eating. It's firm, but it's not ripe enough to use for banana muffins yet. It doesn't have the flavor. But here's the additions I like to use. My favorite is banana. My second favorite is chopped up apricots. The amount that you're going to add is anywhere between a quarter cup and a half cup. But take a look at this. A half cup is a lot to add. And this recipe only makes 12 muffins, 12 of these normal sized muffins. And so I tend to use about a third of a cup. Between a quarter and a half, it will work, but I think a third of a cup is about right for the amount of stuff. Okay, so here's the things I like: apricots, dates, raisins, cranberries. For nuts, I like walnuts and pecans. I don't like almonds. They just don't carry enough flavor after they've been cooked, unless you add some almond flavoring to the muffins. So there they are. Just chop them up to the right size that you wouldn't mind having, finding in a mouthful of muffin, and quarter to a half cup. Third a cup is what I like. There's several things that can go wrong with muffins. And here, this recipe has been tested so many times to help you solve all those problems. Just start with this recipe and you'll avoid almost all of the problems. The first is that you over mix the recipe. And I'm going to show you how much mixing. And the second is that the recipe is too dry, not enough liquid. And I'm going to show you how to estimate that on the one I make, and then add just enough liquid and what it looks like, both too dry and with too much liquid. The third is when you have the heat be too low. This is what a perfect muffin looks like. It's got straight sides, it rises up fairly straight on the top, and it's a uniform top that rises up about 50% of the height of the muffin. All right, here. When the temperature of the oven is too low, this peak won't be here. You'll just have a little lump, okay? When the temperature of the oven is too hot, it doesn't rise uniformly, and what you'll have is just an angle coming up to one side, okay? It'll just be a kind of a sloped, weird angle on one side. When it's overmixed, instead of having this nice uniform crumbs and just a few holes with a good texture, you'll have all sorts of wormy, long channels and holes in the muffin. And that's because you've developed the gluten too much and you don't get a nice uniform, and it's a tough muffin, okay? So those are the things we are gonna avoid. And this recipe, 400 degrees Fahrenheit on a preheated oven, and that is a convection temperature, okay? If you're not using a convection oven, then maybe 415, 420. Convection gives you a better heat transfer, but 400, most ovens are convection. And my ratio, which I'll go through with you, but for the liquids, 2 to 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 eggs, medium-sized eggs, 3/4 cup of milk. And that is mixed with 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Let's get started. 400 convection. Start. Preheat the oven. Banana muffins. 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour sifted. Here's how you do it without sifting. Put your lid on, turn it upside down, fluff it, leave it at an angle. Put your cup in. Don't scoop it, just tip it. Let it fill. Couple taps. Scrape it off. You get the same volume as sifting. 2 teaspoons baking powder. 1, 2, 3/4 teaspoon salt. 1/3 cup sugar. Okay. Blend it around with the whisk. Stir evenly. Now we'll do the liquid ingredients. Okay, you can use between 2 and 4 tablespoons of butter. I'll use 3, and we'll melt that. Okay, normally we use 2 eggs and 3/4 cup of milk. Because I'm going to add, as an added ingredient, 2 ripe bananas. That's a lot of more liquid. So instead of regular milk, I'm going to use buttermilk, which is thicker. You can use regular milk and either use 1 egg or just add a little bit more flour to get the right consistency. Two ripe bananas. Just squeeze that out of there. Blend it up good. And then we'll add the milk. Add in the buttermilk. Brings me up to 2 total cups. Would have been about a cup and a half, a little bit more without the bananas. This is the most important point. The minimum blending you can do to get it to come together, it should still have some lumps. So we're going to pour the liquid ingredients in there and watch what I do. I'm going to shake it around, get it blended a little bit. And now, this is the key, the minimum strokes that we can to get it blended. And there's a little experience in here looking at this and deciding if it's the right thickness. And I can see before I finish blending it right now, it's going to be a little thick. I'm going to add a touch of milk. All right, and that's because we used buttermilk. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup extra milk. All right, stir that around. Now we'll finish the blend. So we've only done like 5 or less than 10 probably. Now we're finishing up. Make sure it's blended in the middle. And that should be about it. Okay, there's lumps, and that is the right consistency. If you over blend it, you get holes and your muffins come out bad. This recipe makes 1 dozen good sized muffins. Sources I used for it, which is very close to Joy of Cooking, says 2 dozen, but you don't get 2 dozen unless you make really tiny muffins. So fill your tins with muffin stuff. An alternative that I like to use is just a little bit of vegetable spray or butter. So all you have to do is well grease it. Okay, so I'll use the Pam cooking oil, but some people don't like the oil. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Our oven just beeped. The preheat is done at 400. I've got it on single rack convection. We're going to fill each of these 2/3 full. But having made this recipe before, I know that we're just going to use it all up and fill it. These are a little bit more than 2/3 right here. It'll poof out the top. All right, I had to redistribute a little bit from the first 2 I overfilled, but that's the entire recipe. Everything's about 3/4 full into the oven. Set the timer for 20 minutes, 400 degrees into the oven. And there you can see it, and I got a pan underneath to catch drips. Okay, now we throw our stuff away and clean up. Elapsed time so far was only about 15 minutes. Okay, that's what they look like in 20 minutes. That looks good. Good browning, good rise. Let's pop one out. You can see it comes right out of the pan without any problems. Just grab it and pick it right up. And now we will just open that up and take a look. Okay, moisture, a little bit moist right in here. Okay, let's try that and see if it's overly moist for the banana. Nope, not too big of holes. Looks good. Tastes great. That's cooked. Look how nice they just come right out of there. Okay, just pick them right out. And it doesn't take much butter either. If you want to use butter instead of Pam to spray these. Okay, perfect, good rise, no holes. If you use one less banana, it won't be quite as dense if you just use one banana. But we like this cakey. A little bit more dense, 2 bananas works out great. Nice and moist. Eat it with butter. Enjoy. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel.